Hello, let's take a look at this video at the role of infinitives, what they are, how you use them, and how they are important in a sentence. So if you could please follow along with me. An infinitive is a verb form, but it always has the word to in front of it. It will never be the main verb, but it's a verb form and it has the word to. And I provided you with a few examples such as to run, to drink, to cook, to play, or to skate. These are all examples of infinitives. So keep in mind that an infinitive is always the word to plus a verb equals an infinitive. So moving along, an infinitive is based on a verb and it expresses the action or the state of being. But remember that the infinitive is not a verb. And it's important for you to understand how to pick out verbs in sentences, because frequently when you write a sentence, your subject and your verb might not agree. And then you have a major error in your sentence, a major grammatical error. So once you understand how to pick out subjects and verbs, it will really help you with your writing. So keep in mind that as soon as you see an infinitive, so that would be the word to plus a verb, it's called an infinitive. It's not ever going to be the main verb of the sentence. So therefore, you can't add anything to it. You can't add an S, an ES, an ED, an ING, the way you would to a regular verb. So an infinitive can function as a subject, a direct object, a subject complement, an adjective, or an adverb. So I provided you with examples of each to explain the role and the use of the infinitive in a sentence. So first of all, the infinitive as a subject. To help the woman in distress, he called the police. So you see the word to help. It's to followed by a verb. That's called the infinitive. Now in this case, it's also the subject of the sentence, because to help the woman in distress becomes the noun subject of the sentence. And you also see that to help functions as a noun because it does play the role of the subject of the sentence. So another example, to purchase a brand new car, you need a lot of money. To purchase, to plus the verb, functions as the noun because again, it's the subject of the sentence. To purchase a brand new car, you need a lot of money. Now the infinitive is a direct object. All the children wanted to go on the trip. There's the to. So to go is the direct object of the verb wanted because they wanted what? They wanted to go. Another one, I hoped to read a book to my daughter before dinner. Now you can see it can't be the main verb because the main verb is hoped. I is the subject, hoped is the verb, to read is called the infinitive, and it's the object of the verb hoped. What did I hope? I hoped to read a book. I hope to read. So read becomes the object of the verb hoped. Infinitives are also used as subject complements. His ambition is to windsurf for a living. To windsurf is the infinitive. It follows the verb to be and it tells you more about the subject, so it's called a subject complement. Or this example, his motto is to work hard. You see the verb to be, so a subject complement always follows the verb is, was, the verb to be, or frequently does. His motto is to work is the infinitive and it follows the verb is and it gives you further information about the subject, which is motto is to work hard, so there's another infinitive. You could also have the infinitive as an adjective. He liked the ability to say no. Can't be the main verb because lacked is the verb. To say functions as an adjective because it's describing or modifying the noun ability. The ability, which ability? The ability to say. The Grand Canyon is a wonderful sight to behold. To behold is the infinitive, and it's an adjective because it modifies the noun sight. It's a wonderful sight to behold. And lastly, the infinitive can function as an adverb. So infinitives as adverbs. Shelley braved the snowstorm to visit her sick grandmother. There's your infinitive, to visit. To visit functions as an adverb because it explains why. Adverbs answer the question why. So why did she brave the snowstorm? To visit her sick grandmother. So to visit functions as an adverb because it explains why. And in this next example, he must study to improve. Must study is the main verb, so to improve is the infinitive, and it functions as an adverb because, again, it explains why he has to study. And if adverbs always answer the question why. That's one of the functions of an adverb. So here's one other rule I want to point out. You have to make sure that you do not confuse an infinitive with a prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase begins with the word to, and it also consists of the words, not only the word to, but a noun or pronoun as well as modifiers. Let me give you some examples to make it a little clearer. Here's the difference between an infinitive and a prepositional phrase. Infinitives always have verb forms in them, so they begin with to and they have action: to run, to bake, to work, to remain, to smell, and to shop. So these are called infinitives because they have the verb, the word to, plus an action after. Example, he is going to run for the presidency. The main verb is going, and there is your infinitive, to plus the action run. I am going to shop at the market on the weekend. In this one, I am going is the main verb. To shop is your infinitive. You've got to plus the verb shop. But now look at the difference in a prepositional phrase. It does use the word to a phrase, but there's no action. So here are some prepositional phrases. To the store, to the country, to this location, to the end. Now you can see in the prepositional phrase, it begins with the word to, but it also has, it could have some nouns in it, it could have a pronoun or modifiers, and you won't find that in an infinitive. So for an example, he ran to the store for a few groceries. The prepositional phrase is to the store. It's not an infinitive because there's not a verb. It has a noun in it, which is store. I am planning on retiring to the country in a few years. To the country becomes a prepositional phrase. It's not an infinitive because country is not a verb. It's a prepositional phrase, to the country. So, to find the main verb of a sentence, how do you know what the main verb is and what the infinitive is? Well, remember when you're trying to find the main verb of a sentence, no verb, which will be the main verb of the sentence, would be preceded by the word to. So the main verb will never have the word to before it. Let's look. Sarah wanted to come with us to the theater. Okay? Sarah wants, that's the main verb. To come, there's your infinitive. Okay? You got to plus the action come. Now you see this, to the theater. There's the word to again, but that's not an infinitive. That's called a prepositional phrase. It's a prepositional phrase. There's no action. So that's the difference between an infinitive and a prepositional phrase. In this one, they decided to travel to England for the summer holidays. The main verb is decided. So to travel is the infinitive because there's an action verb in it, but it's not the main verb. So that's the infinitive. And what about to England? Well, there's no action in that. England is a noun, so that becomes a prepositional phrase. Okay, so I hope you understand those rules. One more example. The manager wants us to work overtime this weekend. So the manager is the subject. The main verb is what does he want? The main action is wants. To work, there's the infinitive. Okay, it can't be the main verb. So you've got the word to plus the verb, work, and that equals an infinitive. So lots of examples to help you to understand the rule. Now you can also have an infinitive phrase fragments. Let's look at what those are. When the word to appears at or near the start of a word group, a fragment sometimes results. Now I have a video on fragments, on sentence fragments, major grammatical error, a fragment. And if you look at my website, you will see a video on sentence fragments. Often when you begin a sentence with to, you have to be careful that you do not turn that sentence into a fragment. And take a look at this example. To arrive at my job on time, I set my alarm extra early. There's a fragment. To arrive at my job on time. So you do have an infinitive, to arrive, but that is not a sentence, to arrive at my job on time. This is called a fragment. So you have to be careful with infinitives that you don't use them and then create a sentence fragment. So how would you fix this up? Well, you could say, to arrive at my job on time. Sorry, where did I correct that? To arrive at my job on time is a fragment because it lacks a subject and it only contains the infinitive form of the verb to. So here, let's correct it. Sorry, this is where I corrected it. You could say, I set my alarm extra early to arrive at my job on time. So I've sort of switched the sentence up a bit and I've said, I arrive, so I added a subject. You could say, I set my alarm extra early to arrive at my job on time is one way to correct it. So you're adding in more words. Or to arrive at my job on time, comma, and I've joined the two sentences. I set my alarm extra early. So in this second example, you can use the comma for extra material placed at the beginning of the sentence. So now you'd say, to arrive at my job on time, comma, I set my alarm extra early. There are different ways to correct a fragment. One more example. I spent all Sunday at home trying to clean the entire house. This one is complete. I spent all Sunday at home. That's an independent thought. But trying to clean the entire house is a fragment. It's incomplete. You've got the verb to clean, but there's no subject. You don't know who's cleaning the house. So how could you correct it? Well, you could turn it into two sentences and say, I spent all Sunday at home, period. New idea. I was trying to clean the entire house. Or, I spent all day at home, comma, you've added a comma, trying to clean the entire house. So you can use the comma to set off the words trying to clean the entire house, and that's called extra material at the end of the sentence. So you've got this material at the end, so you could put a comma and then a small t for trying. Again, please review my video on sentence fragments and it will explain this more closely. So that's it for the examples that I provided you with. I'd like you to review this and make sure you understand what an infinitive is, how an infinitive is never the main verb of the sentence, although there's a verb in it. It always starts with to plus a verb. And please try to avoid using fragments when you start with the word to. And I've shown you some examples of how infinitive phrase fragments are major grammatical errors. Hope you found this helpful, and contact me please if you have a question, and do try the practice questions at the end of the video. Thank you so much, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.